Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Humble Monthly for the month of April as well as the early unlocks for the month of May. So it is the first Friday of April. That means if you picked up the Humble Monthly last month, April 2018's entire bundle has been unlocked, and it's very good, although it is highlighted by just a couple of games at the top, and then it's rounded out by some lesser known games. But overall, I would say a very solid month. One game in particular, I'm sure that if you guys picked it up, you are very happy to get. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but first I do want to look at the early unlocks for the month of May. That has been revealed as well, and once again, it's 3 games, 3 pretty well-known games. Honestly, as far as early unlocks go, I would say that this is one of the weaker months. It's hard to live up to some of the recent early unlocks, with February having Civilization 6, March having Dark Souls 3, and then with this month, the early unlocks were Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Mafia 3, as well as God Eater 2 Rage Burst. This month, however, considering you're paying $12 and you're getting these 3 games right away, it's still a very good month. So the early unlocks include Kerbal Space Program, one of the more popular games on PC. It has been ported since then to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. A nice game to get there. You got Ruiner, which is a game that I've been looking at quite a bit. It didn't get stellar reviews from the critics. It has a 75 on Metacritic, but all of the reception that I've heard from gamers themselves have been very positive. Haven't played it myself, but it's a brutal action shooter set in the year 2091 in the cyber metropolis Rankok. A wired sociopath lashes out against a corrupt system to uncover the truth and retrieve his kidnapped brother under the guidance of a secretive hacker friend. It's a very interesting game. Very nice stylization. Typically goes for $20 and is a relatively recent release, coming out back in September of 2017, so definitely a nice game as an early unlock. And then you also have Dead Rising 4, which is probably the most notable of the 3 games, but honestly, playing Dead Rising 4, I didn't think it was anything spectacular. I really think Dead Rising has fallen off a little bit and didn't enjoy Dead Rising 4 all too much. But once again, pretty recent release, so having this as another addition to Humble Monthly as an early unlock title, not bad at all, and $12 for all of that, considering Ruiner is still very expensive. Kerbal Space Program has retained its value, as has Dead Rising 4. I would say overall it's pretty good, and of course, first Friday of May, the rest of the bundle will unlock. So now let's take a look at the month of April, which all of the games have been unlocked, and one game in particular I think a lot of gamers are going to be happy to get. If you guys don't remember, as I mentioned, the early unlock titles were Deus Ex Mankind Divided, God Eater 2 Rage Burst, as well as Mafia 3. Those were awesome early unlock titles. Mafia 3 on discount typically goes for around $15 to $16. The same can be said for God Eater 2 Rage Burst, and I believe Deus Ex Mankind Divided goes for $10, so when you look at the value at that range, those were just the early unlock titles, and getting all of those for $12 were very good. The only thing is, I don't think these games are as notable as a Civilization 6, as a Dark Souls 3. They don't quite have the marquee name value as those games, but I still thought a great bundle. Now, as far as the unlocks, probably the best game out of all of them, I think that goes without saying, is Outlast 2. Yes, the sequel to one of the most acclaimed survival horror games in Outlast. Outlast 2 is once again a very atmospheric game, typically goes for around $30 on sale. I'm sure you can find it a little bit cheaper, but another recent release came out about a year ago and has a 76 on Metacritic, which isn't the best, but I do think that's a little bit underrated, so great to see Outlast 2 on here. The other games I'm just gonna go by real quickly because I can't put too much input on. Lara Croft Go was a part of this Humble Monthly. This was originally a mobile game, I believe, and it's a turn-based puzzle adventure set in a long-forgotten world. As you discover the ruins of an ancient civilization, this is not a typical Tomb Raider game. They also did Hitman Go, so this is another addition to your Humble Monthly subscription. And another game you get is Subterrane. Subterrane is described as a game where you fill the shoes of Dr. West, the apparent lone survivor of MPO, an underground city on Mars. Do what you must to survive, fight hunger and thirst, mend your wounds, and gather resources in a constant struggle to survive. Manage the entire colony single-handed, craft, research, explore, and fight against evolving mutants in a vast open world and randomly generated levels to explore. Can you survive long enough to escape the horde? That's right off the description for the game. I honestly have never even heard of this game. Released back in January 2016 and went very underlooked. I kind of like the old school art style it's got going on for it, but yeah, a very underrated game considering it only has 576 reviews in that entire time period, but Humble Monthly does do a good job of unearthing these long forgotten games, so a nice addition nonetheless. And another game was Air Memories of Old, another forgotten game. This one is a very recent release coming back in October of 2017, but it only has a total of 269 Steam reviews. Steam reviews, a lot of gamers don't use it to gauge quality, but what I like to use Steam reviews for, as you guys may have noticed, is to judge the game's engagement and how popular it became, and 269 reviews is very low, but at face value, I do like the artistic design of the game, and it reminds me a little bit of a game called Rime. Now, as far as the reviews themselves, it does have a very positive feedback of 87%, so that's pretty good. Typically goes for $15, so another niche title that has been included. And then we also have an early access title that released earlier this year in Laser League. Laser League is a very interesting game. It's set in a world that revolves around high-speed future sports team action. This game has mixed feedback recently at 64% positive. That's based off 28 reviews, and then all-time 90% at 450 reviews. Again, it is an early access title. The initial game has over 60 characters to pick from 5 different brands with 6 different classes, and then game modes support up to 4 players per team in local 2v2 and 3v3 matches online. This is a multiplayer-centric game, so I do question the online activity of this game, but hopefully with it being a Humble Monthly title, maybe that'll reignite the title. And finally, the Humble Original title. Now, if you don't know, Humble Originals are exclusive games developed specifically for Humble Monthly subscribers. These games are ideas, they're very different, and this month's game was a little game known as Lyric Sonata. It's a miniature side-scrolling adventure across music notation platformers for solo cursor. We've seen music rhythm side-scrollers before. I believe a game like Loco Roco this reminds me of. If you guys never played that, that was a PlayStation portable title ported to the PS4. But yeah, it gives me vibes of that. An interesting game, but again, the latter titles that I mentioned, I am very unfamiliar with. But that's the great thing about Humble Monthly. You get some marquee titles because you have Mafia 3, you have like a God Eater 2 Rage Burst, a Deus Ex Mankind Divided, you got Outlast 2, which is awesome, and the group is rounded out by more niche but interesting experiences. I believe you can't get Outlast 2 on sale for less than $10, so overall, I would say a very solid month. You know, some of the recent months have set a very high bar, so I wouldn't say that this was one of the best months, but very solid nonetheless. You really can't go wrong with Humble Monthly, as it is just $12. Of course, I am a partner with Humble. I always like to mention that, but I've been promoting Humble for a very long time. You can look up videos that I uploaded years ago, and I've been talking great things about Humble. It's just now I get a little bit of a kickback. So if you want to subscribe to May's Bundle, again, the early unlocks are pretty good in Dead Rising 4, Kerbal Space Program, as well as Ruiner. Wasn't a big fan of Dead Rising 4, but the other 2 games should be solid enough, and Dead Rising 4, again, is a somewhat recent release and is valued quite highly, so a nice addition nonetheless. That's gonna conclude this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments section down below. If you have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comments as well, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.